Hey guys, it's Lana. So, long time no chat. We're not going to talk about that. But what we are going to talk about today is loose powders. We're really excited. So, let's just get into it, you know? So, I'm going to start kind of from the first one I used to the most recent one I've started using. And that's also kind of when they launched. Yeah. Before we get fully into that, I know, diverting, whatever. I have oily combo skin. I really find that my makeup slides off by the end of the day. I don't get the luxury of starting out radiant because it's gonna end radiant. It's gonna end as a grease pool, and we can't start out as a grease pool because then it's just gonna literally be an oil rig. Like, it's just glow is hard for me, you know. Glow is really hard for me, so I tend to go for like powders that like get her done. Like, I don't mind looking matte the first hour of my day, like even almost a little shocky, because my skin will like eat that right up and it'll balance itself into like a nice like natural like skin matte look, right? So that's kind of what I look for in a powder. Now, let's actually get into talking about them. The first powder I've got is the Sasha Buttercup powder. I've had this literal powder forever, for at least like 3 years. That's not safe. I'm like now starting to get into like the fact that you can't use your makeup for 30 years. Shout out to the Naked 2 palette that I've been holding on to, despite me getting it back in like 2012. That's gross. But it's Naked 2. Like, it's Naked 2. You gotta hold on to your Naked 2s. But I've had this powder forever. Jackie Aina actually recommended this powder to me the very, very first time. Like OG Jackie Aina, like 2011, 2012, like still with that cool toned lighting, like her old setup, like not the like Jackie like we know now. She was the one who recommended this, and she used to like stand for this powder, and so naturally, me being a Jackie Aina stan, I ordered it immediately. I think it was like $7 to $10 back then. I think it's still $10 now, but like now it's a little harder to come by. People don't really talk about it as much. It used to primarily be talked about in the Black community anyway, so it wasn't like everyone was using this. Like, this was back in the heyday of like that golden banana powder. It's like really thick, like on your face powder, but like when everyone was really into like banana brightening powders, they were really into like heavy baking, this was an OG for that. And so that's when like I was trying to figure out makeup, and I was like trying to bake. Was not doing it right, like at all, but this has kind of stuck around, and here's how I use it now. So I've followed Jackie throughout her career, and at this point in her career, Jackie powders her primer, and that is like brilliant to me, you know. She's oily, I'm oily, we got something in common, you know. But she'll put her primer on, and then she'll powder her T-zone or areas that she feels like gets really oily, and it locks that primer in, so then like it's a little bit harder for that oil to break through, and it makes your makeup last longer. It's what I deserved, you know. And so this powder is what I use for that, because it's not as finely milled as some of the other powders that I'm going to show you in a little bit. I feel like it really like is like it really sets in. So I don't use this on top of makeup anymore. I don't use this to bake anymore. I don't bake as much as I used to anyway. Like, I feel like everyone's kind of moved away from baking, especially with this like no makeup, that like NAMV glow like type of look. Like, people don't really like do that like hard matte look anymore. At least I don't see it. If it's contrary, please let me know. But yeah, that's just where I feel like we're at. but I don't know, that's just where I feel like we're at. But yeah, that's pretty much how I use the Sasha Buttercup right now. I would still buy it. I would buy this again once I run out of this like little bit of powder that's still down there. I would buy it again and just using it in the way that I use it now, just because I feel like it's really good. Not really for the banana golden effect. I feel like that does nothing to me. The foundations I use are pretty medium to full, so it doesn't really affect that. So I'm not really buying it for the color. So honestly, if I could find like a translucent powder that did the same thing, I would buy that. But either one would be useful to me. Okay, so the next powder that I'm using is... Okay, so the next powder that I use is the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder in the shade Translucent Deep. So this powder, I'm not going to swatch powder because that's stupid. But this powder, as you can kind of see, is a really, really rich brown, which is what I love. And I bought this powder because there was a YouTuber, I cannot remember her name, it was really a long time ago. This is probably my 4th or 5th container of this. I have like a backup one, like even in my batch, like stored up and ready to go right now. But she said that this was a really good dupe of the Laura Mercier powder, and that was before they had come out with their deep shade. I remember that. And so I know they're gonna creak. This is a really good dupe. This is a really good dupe of the Laura Mercier powder. It was before they came out with their deep shade. So I remember people talking about this, that it was like finely milled. It went on really, really nicely. A con of this that I will say is that if used incorrectly, or if it doesn't like set into the skin just right, it does have a little bit of flashback. And I feel like when they did the flashback test and like all those videos on like Sephora and Ulta and all that good jazz, like they're usually on a little, like they're on darker skin models, but more like medium to dark, not like dark deep. And I'm like dark deep, and so like again, like even a powder being this deep, it's not really super like golden deep. It's kind of like an ash. It doesn't look as much like when it's like in the container, but when you actually like put it on your face and blend it out with your makeup and your concealer, and especially if you use a more golden concealer like I do, it can sometimes like not be it. So let's say that I really like the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Concealer. This one is really nice. It's really, really golden on my skin tone. But to use a FX powder like this, I need to use one a little more neutral. So to pair with it, I would use more like the NYX Studio HD in the shade 8.4, because it just like, its tones go together a little better. Like I would say this tone goes with this tone and this tone goes with this tone, like because they're two kind of separate looks, which is why, you know, you have different concealer shades with different undertones, different shade. Like all the concealers I have are kind of like a big range between like ones that are my skin tone and ones that are really not my skin tone. And you know, you use them all for different things, and the differences in powders are definitely like a thing you use a different concealer for. Like if I really want to use this powder on my face, I can't use a certain powder because I need to make sure that like it's gonna bring out the goldenness. If I want to use this powder, there's at least like 3 colors and these like concealers that I love that I just like I can't use because it's gonna make it look ashy and make it look chalky, and it's not gonna be the same look that I like. And then you just waste a makeup, and like makeup's expensive, y'all. Like makeup is too expensive to be playing these type of games. Okay, so the next powders that I'm going to talk about are the Maybelline Fit Me powders. So I have 2 of these actually. I have how dare you. I actually have these in 2 shades. So I have a 30 medium deep, and then I have 40 medium, or just dark. It's just dark. And I'll open these up just so you can see the tone a little bit. So that one is deep. Yeah, I just want to make sure it's focusing in on that bad boy. Okay, and then this one is medium deep. I use these for two completely different reasons. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about the cons of this powder, okay? It's not my favorite. This powder was $6. Everyone talked about this powder. I bought this powder because one day I caved and bought the foundation, and I was like, ooh. And that was before I became a girl who like appreciated like a matte full coverage. Like at that point I was still like a medium like satin radiant girl, and I was like, I don't like matte, like I don't want to look like dusty. And I was like, girl, it's called setting spray, like you're fine. But I bought the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, fell in love with it, was at Target like a couple weeks later, and was like, oh, powders. And you know, I can't use like the Instant Age Rewind. I can't really use the Maybelline concealers because the concealers have yet to go into the depth that the actual foundation line have gone into. But the powders seemed pretty inclusive. I mean, like, those are pretty deep for a drugstore, and you know, for $7. And so I was like, okay, I'll try you out. And the first time, I think, here, let's go into our concealer drawer. These are our concealers. I'm pretty sure I was using an LA Girl Pro Coverage concealer, and it was still pretty wet. Like, that's like a matte, like, I was going pretty matte that day, I'm pretty sure, and it was matte. And I remember I used the powder to go under my eye, and I felt like after I wiped the bake away, and I didn't do like a super heavy bake, it was super light, but once I wiped it away, like I could see all the little like texture bumps underneath my eyes, and I was like, I don't like that. That'll make me feel good about myself. And I was like so freaked out. And so I tried again, and it did it. I tried another time, and it didn't do it. And I was like, what did I do? And then I tried it again, and it did the texture bumps again. And I was like, God damn it, I lost the effect. And so I can't figure out what I did that one time that made it not stick to the texture under my eyes. But like, that was one of my favorite times ever really using this product under that effect. And then I found out something that really affects all of these powders is I realized the difference between a setting powder, a loose powder, and a finishing powder, and a brightening powder. I don't have a brightening powder right now, but like the differences between all of those. And I realized that the Maybelline Fit Me is a loose finishing powder. And it really, when they say finishing, they mean like cut, like done, like stop doing things. Like, it's really not the under eye baking powder. It's not a setting powder. It's not a brightening powder. It's not meant to set your wet concealer in place. So it is gonna grab really weirdly onto your texture if your skin is like that wet. Like if you just finished blending it out and then you're like, it's gonna take that moisture away because Maybelline Fit Me, it's matte. So I think the formulation of it is it's meant to be with a matte foundation, its own matte foundation, but any matte foundation. And so it's not expecting that moisture to grip onto, so when it feels that moisture, it like holds on for dear life and then creates that texture, you know, in the rest of your skin, the spot that doesn't have as much moisture or concealer or whatever, you know. And so I quickly had to stop using it for that. I can still use it under my eye, but I realized I cannot use a sponge with it. I have to use a brush, and I'm not a person who's like particularly accustomed to using like brushes under my eye for like concealer or for powder. You know, I'm usually like foundation brush, I got a contour brush, I've got like a really big fluffy powder brush, blush brush, all that type of face stuff, but like a brush meant for like powdering my under eye, no. Like the closest thing I have to that is like this guy, and I use this to like sweep it, like the big from under my eye. I don't use this to like set the powder. I mean, I could. This is a Morphe M500, if anyone's wondering. Nice little tapered brush. I mean, I guess I could use this for under the eye, but like I don't wanna. I'll get to it, cause like Jackie does it, and I watched Jackie's little tutorial about like why my makeup look ugly, and I feel a little red. So we're gonna get better at that, but you know, like you just want a little bit of like, a little bit of zhuzh to life, you know, a little bit of like, yeah. And so I stopped using this powder a lot, the lighter, medium, deep powder, and started using the deep. Now the thing about the deep is that it's a little red, and the thing about me is like I'm a little red, but I don't like red foundations because I don't like to look like the Tulsa dirt, you know? And I'm from Tulsa, so I can say that, don't read me. But I just feel like if I use a foundation that's super red, I'm super red, and like it just, something about it don't end right, you know? Yeah. And so I just kind of like had to chill, you know, and kind of had to stop using this, because I think the first time I used it, I used a foundation that was a little on the redder side, and with this powder on top of it, I just was like, like, you are red, like you are freaking me out. And so I kind of got scared of it for a little while, but as I started going towards more like neutral foundations, as I've gone to, I tend to go down to foundation shade so that I can, one, mask the red undertones in my skin, and also so that I can use different concealer and different brightening powders to just kind of create the more like overall tone in my face that I'm looking. So that's kind of my rundown of those two powders. I would 1000% buy the darker one again. I'm not sure if I would buy the lighter one again, just because I bought the lighter one to set under my eyes. So a powder that I can't really use to set under the eyes the way I like mostly do, it's not for me. I'm sorry, it's not for me. But that's kind of my rundown on those. Yeah. Last and certainly not least, we have the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Powder in Nutmeg. So let's open this beautiful baby girl up. We get so much product in this. You get 28 grams. That feels like a lot. Is that more than the other ones? 28 grams. Wait. So these two, this is 10 grams. These are 20 grams. And then these two are 28 grams. It seems like being black owned does something good to the skin, something good to the pockets. You know, you bang for your buck. God damn. I mean, these are like $6-7, so I'm not really gonna roast those, but like Cover FX is like $35, I'm pretty sure. Stop up. The Fenty Beauty Powder and Nutmeg, I love this powder, y'all. I really do. Fenty Beauty Powder is like the under eye powder I dream of. She brightens, she sets, she, like, I can heavy bake, I can lightly bake, and she just does the loveliest things to my skin, to my life, to my heart. I really appreciate all that she's done for me, you know. I love her. I really do. I don't have any cons about this powder. I love the shade range within this powder. I think there's a lot of like, you just, I love it. I used it under my eyes today to bake, and I look good. I look good, and we're gonna give Robin Rihanna Fenty her money and her coins, and goddamn it, we're gonna give her her flowers too, because she fucking deserves it, right? Like, okay, so that's it. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about some powders and some of my favorite powders, and you know, hope that like if you were looking at a certain powder and just didn't know what to use it for, or didn't know like tones, or like what type of people, what their skin tone who used it looked like. I hope this video answers some sort of question. And yeah, that's it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, all that good jazz down below, and follow my Instagram page, Splash of Lace, for a lot of Instagram content. I do primarily skincare over there, but with a lot of beauty face like stories and IGTV videos, lol. But it's all a good combo over here and on my blog. Like, it's a good mix of like that, like makeup, skincare, and wigs. So there you go. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.